ask you, do you think the government has held its own as Kanchan Gupta wants us to believe, or do you think this was blackmail made official with the rollback of the decisions, despite the fact that this was warned by the parliamentary committee in August earlier this year?
So there are four issues here. Number one, if 4 out of 5 airlines could have implemented the FTL rules, I fail to understand why IndiGo, which was otherwise, well run, running its operations, why did they choose not to? And Amit is here on your show, he can weigh in. There are only two reasons for that. Number one, they couldn't be bothered. Number two, they had DGCA in their pockets. Simple. There is no other third reason. Because if Navika, you are my regulator and I take advantage of the regulation, then either I believe you can't do anything to me or I've already bought you out, in a manner of speaking. Second is that no one takes parliamentary committees seriously, but after this, I think they will. So parliamentary committee recommending something, it's par for the course. No one takes it seriously. Number three, where I agree with Kanchan, is knowing Narendra Modi as we do, knowing this government as we do, they are not going to take this lightly, because it was a humongous embarrassment on the same day as Vladimir Putin was visiting India. Narendra Modi has always said ad nauseum that, look, I stand for the people. I do not want that misery to be afflicted on them. And the government was shamefaced on that particular day. So let me tell you one thing, knowing Modi as I do and you do, there will be retaliation of the highest kind. So I don't see a soft pass for any airline in this matter. Number four, my issue is somewhat different. The leadership of IndiGo should have been at the airport rather than keep the poor customer-facing front office staff there to be browbeaten by passengers, some of whom, to my mind, behaved abominably. There was no business to have any kind of, violence that some passengers
Sure, there's no space for violence, but the fact was the hapless people were let down by their own company and the top brass, which wasn't taking a call. I'm short of time, so let me get in Vijay Gopalan, former CFO of Air Asia. And Vijay Gopalan, we say there are 5 airlines, but in effect, we have a duopoly situation. There is only Air India and there is IndiGo. SpiceJet, not very dependable. There are other smaller airlines, don't have that kind of coverage. Is that the reason?
Navika, it's 65%. They're monopoly. The mistake that the media is making is in its analysis. Today, ask Amit, ask the gentleman from Air Asia. Today, by any market standards, if you have 65% market share, it's monopoly. There is no duopoly there. Absolutely. It is a monopoly situation.
Well said, Mr. Gopalan.
So, very clearly, Navika, that is the root cause of the issue. Because let's say today, if you have to penalize IndiGo, and even as a passenger, if I say, I'm not going to fly IndiGo for what they did, who am I going to fly with? There are so many routes where IndiGo is probably the only operator. We don't even have Air India or any of the other airlines operating. So at the root of the issue is IndiGo is monopolizing it, and I think they're too big to be penalized in my personal view at this point in time, because that can collapse the entire air transport system in our country.
So are they holding us to ransom, Captain Amit Singh? Is IndiGo holding the nation to ransom? And Suhel said, I completely disagree that Modi will take action because Putin was here and therefore it was, shameful.
No,
well, this whole episode was shameful because people of India, people who had paid for their tickets were put through such a huge discomfort that they should be taken to the cleaners just for doing that. But Captain Amit Singh.
So Navika, what was happening this time was what we call a regulatory takeover. IndiGo had taken over the regulator and was functioning from the regulator's seat. I'm not saying sitting on the DG's seat, DG is an upright man, but below him, everything was taken over by IndiGo, and they were so confident that if they wanted something, it would happen. And in the past, it was happening. like other airlines had to queue up, they would walk straight inside. So that was the scenario.
So are you saying the DGCA is compromised?
Yes, that's what regulatory takeover is. It is
Well,
not just the
Kanchan Gupta, if the DGCA is compromised, then what is this regulator all about? Will we see heads rolling in DGCA? Is a simple and straightforward question to you.
Even Amit Singh says this, that the DGCA is headed by a person who is upright, who is honest, and to impute motives to him, I think, is very, very wrong and unfair. Now, is the DGCA compromised? Now, the DGCA works in a given situation. You have a situation where one of your biggest airlines just opted out of the market. It collapsed. Jet Airways collapsed, and at that time, nobody demanded that the government should shore it up. Everybody said, oh, it's a private enterprise. Why should the government interfere? Let it go. Let it collapse. IndiGo did not come to control 65% of your air traffic overnight.
Kanchan Gupta, may I tell you the two issues are incomparable. Jet Airways was bankrupt, whereas IndiGo has a market share which is 65% and therefore a monopoly which took passengers and the government and the regulator for granted. Two completely different scenarios.
Suggesting is that government made or government gifted 65% of the share to IndiGo. That is a totally erroneous and uncalled for suggestion. If private airlines cannot operate, if they cannot stay afloat, the government can only try and create a situation where they will be able to operate. And all that was done for Jet. Why did Jet collapse?
Well, I don't know. Tonight, I think many Indians watching the show are only waiting on what action will the government take after issuing show cause notices to the CEO and the management of IndiGo. Will they sit back and once again try an arm twist? Because if they don't operate, then the civil aviation sector in India collapses, or will they actually face the music from the government, from the regulator? We are waiting to watch. This is a big one, affects mostly every Indian, and therefore answers at the moment not satisfactory. Will we get them soon? Well, hope and a prayer on which we rest. Thank you very much to all of you to join me on my show. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With that, it's a wrap. Good night. Be safe.